Cy's going to give us some of his deep and intuitive knowledge on the struggles of the working person.
Thank you.
And here he is once again, our good friends, Mr. Kahn.
I did my part in World War II, got wounded for the nation. Now my lungs are all shut down, there ain't no compensation. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. That is your part, should you choose to take part. I'm going to do just a really brief choir rehearsal, and then we'll go back to the story. I'm going to go to work on Monday one more time. I'm going to go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm going to go to work on Monday one more time. You think you got it? You got it, okay. I want to take it from the top. I did my part in World War II, got wounded for the nation. Now my lungs are all shot down, there ain't no compensation. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. The last time I went near my job, I thought my lungs were broken. Chest bound down like iron bands, I couldn't breathe for choking. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. Now the doctor says I smoke too much. He says that I'm not crying. He says he don't know what I've got, but we both know he's lying. This is no reflection on all the medical personnel here who would never lie to another person. Are we clear? This is a North Carolina doctor. That's different. Okay. Just he says he don't know what I've got, but we both know he's lying. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. Now the politicians in this state, I am not talking again about any of the provinces, not even Nunavut. I'm talking about my country. I am not being critical of where I am. The politicians in this state, they're nothing short of rotten. They buy you off with fancy words, and they sell us out to cotton. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. They tell me that both lungs are gone, there ain't no way to shake it, but I can't live without a job. Somehow I've got to take it. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. They tell me I can't work at all, there ain't no need of trying, but living like some used up thing is just as short of dying. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time. I'm gonna go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm gonna go to someone forgotten, head all filled with angry thoughts, and lungs filled up with cotton. I want to go to work on Monday one more time. I want to go to work on Monday one more time, one more time. I'm going to go to work on Monday one more time. So that song, thank you so much. So that song is about a disease called brown lung. The medical name is byssinosis. And it's sort of a companion disease to byssinosis, which is black lung, which coal miners get. And the interesting thing about brown lung is that it gets better during the week. Black lung, if you recall, I work, by the way, both for the United Mine Workers of America, our coal mining union, and for the Textile Workers Union of America, obviously our Textile Workers Union. And black lung, if you can get through Monday, that's maybe the last day that you're going to get through, because that fine dust in the coal mine builds up, and often Wednesday or Thursday, you're just like, I can't work anymore. Brown lung is exactly the opposite. For all of our medical personnel, technically, it's a histamine reaction, not to the cotton itself, but to the histamines that are in the bract, which is the hard part under the cotton roll that holds up the white cotton. And so, in brown lung, the hardest day of the week, it's not Friday, it's Monday. And many of the people that I worked with in the Brown Lung Association, which successfully cleaned up the mills and got compensation for hundreds of workers disabled by the disease, they would say, I would go in the mill and I'd be breathing fine for the weekend, and then that air would hit me. It was like a truck hitting my chest. But if you could get through Monday, Tuesday was a little better, Wednesday was even better, and by the end of the week, you were breathing just fine. So brown lung is sometimes called Monday morning fever, Monday blues, and that's why the song is I'm going to go to work on Monday, because if you can do that, you're okay for a while. And for a long time, I sang it for my friends who worked in the mills, who worked in the cotton mills, and who were disabled by brown lung, were fighting brown lung. And then I thought, no matter what work you do, it's not easy to get up and go to work on Monday, even if you love the job. It's hard. So now I sing for everyone. So I sang, yesterday, was it last night already? I sang, Tonight I'm Canadian. But today, I'm back to being an American citizen with Canadian roots, and I think it's only fair that I comment on politics in my own country. I actually wrote this about 6 presidents back, but it just gets more and more relevant. The only change was the last verse, and I'll teach you the call and response. The last verse is, it's back to home for mommies, bomb the hell out of the commies, right? But Elizabeth Minnick, public philosopher, feminist, educator, author, my best friend since the 11th grade, my beloved partner, spouse for 45 years, she said, no. Trump is making friends with the commies. Yeah, he's cozying up to the North Korean dictator, and he's patting Vladimir Putin on the knee. You gotta say, fall in love with all the commies. But I'd already finished recording this in Germany with the Looping Brothers. It's a pun on the Louvin Brothers, Ira and Charlie. You probably know their album, Satan is Real. And I'm like, can't go back to Germany. And Matthias Malker somehow changed the words, and he sounds just like me, and he refuses to tell me how he does this. Okay, so at the end it'll go back again, and then you go back again, and I go back again, and you go back again. Are you ready? The president stepped off the sewers. That's too high. Let's try this again. The president stepped off the silver screen. He said, people, put your lives here in my hands. We can make our country's honor white again. And let the sulfur smoke of progress fill our land. 'Cause we've got government on horseback again. Oh, you guys get to go. You get to go Yahoo or Yeehaw, okay? All right. Just practice. Do Yahoo. 1, 2, 3. Actually, quite excellent. And then we're going to do Yeehaw. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you guys are good. Okay. 'Cause we've got government on horseback again. Back to the days when congressmen were men. We can make it on our own, running on testosterone. It's government on horseback again. Nice, nice, nice. Help me give our land a golden goose. Turn our native corporations loose. Without our unions and the ERA, we will all have twice the jobs at half the pay. And we've got government on horseback again. Back to the days when congressmen were men. We can make it on our own, running on testosterone. It's government on horseback again. Blow out the lamp beside the golden door. We don't need cheap foreign labor anymore. Without our unions and the ERA, oh well. And we've got government on horseback again. Back to the days congressmen were men. We can make it on our own, running on testosterone. It's government on horseback again. Back again. No, repeat, please. You weren't listening when I gave the initial instructions. Right, okay, I forgive you, you forgive me. 'Cause we've got back again. Beautiful. We've got government on horseback again. Back to home for mommies. From the hell out of the commies. Make friends with all the commies. Government on horseback again. So I wanted to do something for agricultural workers. Because here we are in this beautiful farm. But you know, the thing about farms is that you cannot afford to leave the gate open, right? Clearly we have a lot of experienced agricultural hands in the audience. And I did steal a number of lines from Pete Seeger's song, Turn, 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 which he stole from Ecclesiastes, which was an early rock band. I don't know if you've heard them. And all these, I'm trying to do songs with choruses this morning. And I'm not gonna, do choir rehearsal every time, but please pitch it. Don't let your mind wander down on the farm. You may. I don't think that's right. I had to change all of these keys because of the arthritis. Oh, that's the right key. So I'm doing all these in sort of new arrangements, which obviously only in some cases do I remember. Don't let your mind wander down on the farm. You might leave the gate open and you might come to harm. For there's strays of every shape and size roaming about. A stray might get in, or a stray might get out. skating stray together, skating stray together, skating stray together, down on the farm, skating stray together, skating stray together, skating stray together, down on the farm. I wish I was an apple. Actually, you guys are actually pretty educated, right? I mean, you know, within reason. Okay. I wish I were an apple, as fine as I could sew. I wish I really knew the words to every song I think I know. But if I were an apple, hanging on the vine, I'd wait until the grapes were ripe, drink up all that wine, gating stray together, gating stray together, gating stray together, down on the farm, gating stray together, gating stray together, gating stray together, down on the farm. Okay, here's the peace seeker verse. There's a time to reap. There's a time to sow. There's a time to shut your mouth and not say everything you think you know. There's a time to rejoice. There's a time to grieve. There's a time to have the sense to know it's time for you to leave. Gating stray together, gating stray together, gating stray together, down on the farm. Gating stray together, gating stray together, gating stray together, down on the farm. Thank you so much. So, how many of you knew about the factory occupation about 20 years ago at the American Hyundai plant in Oshawa? Does anybody know about this or remember this? Okay, so this was, I got a phone call from someone named Wendy Cuthbertson, who was the communication directors for the Canadian Auto Workers under the great Bob White, one of the great labor leaders anywhere. And she said, you know, we've got this plant occupation that was going on at this plant that made chrome bumpers. Some of you maybe remember chrome bumpers. She said, and we want to make a film about it, and we need music, and would you be willing to write it? And I'm like, well, tell me the story. And she had this extraordinary eye and ear for detail, the little things that make a song live. And I said, yeah, I'm interested. What kind of music are you looking for? And so she said, we want to have working class fife and drum music. And I'm like, oh, straight to my heart. And in the film, they recorded it with a fife and drum chorus. Just wonderful. So this is the longest song that I have ever written. And luckily, with that many verses, you can miss a couple. And actually, there's one verse that is forever missing. I know it was 14 verses, and I only have 13, but you know, 13 verses is enough for anybody or anything. Come, all you working people, and make the world go round. Have you heard about the Hyundai plant and how they stood their ground? Oh, I should explain that this was a Canadian company. It was bought up by an American company and deliberately shut down to avoid competition. So this is the situation that we've got here. Plant was doing great work. The workers were great. It was unionized. They were productive, and it was just a matter of corporate greed and absolute insensitivity to the lives of everybody. Come, all you working people who make the world go round. Have you heard about the Hyundai plant and how they stood their ground? They took their factory over till the last they won their fight. Here's your part. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. Let's do that a couple times. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. It was early in the morning when they shut the presses down. The silence was so sudden, you could hear it in the town. Our neighbors all came running and stood wondering at the sight. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. Of course, when we took over, there were things that we arranged. We put a sign out front that said the management had changed. We'd done the work in there so long we knew we'd run it right. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. There's dartboards in the stamping room and children on the floor. In all your years at Hudai, have you felt so strong before? The presses all stand silent, not a single boss in sight. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. When I went to work at Hudai, it was just before the war. They put me on the kids line with a couple dozen more. 100,000 bumpers, God knows I've paid the price. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. With some good friends from the factory, I went away to war. When we got back, the bosses were no better than before. Well, if we didn't change the work, we sure learned how to fight. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. So we organized together, passed the cards around. They said they'd never talk to us, so we shut the damn place down. Made them sign a contract and we held them to it tight. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. When they said the plant was closing, it took us by surprise. We were bitter, scared, and angry. You could see it in our eyes. We talked for hours and hours till we knew just what was right. Don't wait up for me, my love. Sitting in tonight. Of course, there's always more of us than there are of them. They held back the OPP because we held back GM. We had 10,000 union members spoiling for a fight. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. When they closed the plant, they tried to make the workers take a loss. But we really stuck together and we stuck it to the boss. With severance pay and health care, with severance pay and health care, we sure turned out all right. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. Come all you working people and make the world go round. Your hands are on the switches that can shut the whole place down. Your hands are on the levers that can make these wrongs to rights. Don't wait up for me, my love. We're sitting in tonight. David, are you in the audience? All right. Well, this is about you. So, I was so interested in yesterday's songwriter go-round. And the whole question of how do you write songs, where do they come from? And I remember, I don't know if many of you know Utah, though it's the golden voice of the great Southwest, but a real radical and a pacifist, a member of the Catholic Worker Movement. And Yuso and I were sitting in front of a country store once. He was on the bench. And he had this battered leather valise. And he was pulling out yellow newspaper clippings, looking at them, putting them back in. I said, Yuto, what are you doing? He said, get on the side. I said, you know, when I read a story in the newspaper and I think, that might someday be a song, I cut it out and I put it in this valise. And every once in a while I sit in the sun and I pull the stories out and I think, yeah, maybe it's time to write this one. So this song, which David requested, is called The Flu. Comes from the local newspaper story in Wilkesboro, which is where WorldFest is, and sort of the grand meeting place. Someday historians will talk about the day that we all met at WorldFest, and all of this followed. And it was a story about a disastrous 1913 flood. So Wilkes County is on the Blue Ridge Mountains, and the Blue Ridge are part of the Appalachian chain, which, by the way, starts in the Laurentians. And it's a continuous change. It changes names. It becomes the Catskills in New York and the Alleghenies in Pennsylvania and the Blue Ridge in Virginia and the Carolinas. And it's an extraordinary terrain. You can drive it. It's a 2-lane road, 45 mile an hour, speed limit, and you're following the ridge. But back at the turn of the last century, logging crews were logging indiscriminately on mountainsides that are too steep really to log. And what happened, of course, is without the roots to hold the soil loosened, and in a torrential rain, it all slid down the mountain. Something like 100 people were killed, villages were buried. And it was the end of an era. But the wonderful reporter, whose name I'm sorry I don't remember, who wrote this story, had gone back and dug into history, had discovered that because the mountains were so steep, that a team of mules or horses could not bring the rough-cut lumber down the mountainside. The wagon would have sped up and run over them. So what do you think they did? They built an aqueduct. Just like the Romans. Although the Romans never settled Wilkes County, but it was an aqueduct like 20 feet wide. And they built holding ponds up above the aqueduct, which they called the Flu. And during the day, they would load the aqueduct with thousands of board feet of lumber. And then, when darkness came and it was too late to work, the workers would climb into the flume, put their feet on a board, grab hold, and then they would open the sluice gates to the holding ponds, and the water would rise in the flume, and the boards would lift in the flume, and they would ride on home down this water road. And I started thinking of it as a water road, not a kind of a regular path or gravel cut through the forest, but as a water road. And I wrote this song in honor of those workers. I got one day, the sheriff called me up and said, "Hey, Si, what are you doing?" He named the date. I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know what you got in mind." He said, "Oh, it's Employee Recognition Day. We want you to come and sing this song for us." And I looked at my calendar and said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm nowhere near Wilkes County." He said, "Oh damn, that means the deputy's going to have to sing it again." So. Mama remembered when she was young, how her daddy get up for the rising sun. Up in the wagon, off he'd go, chasing the sunlight down that water road. Lord, Lord, down the 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 road. up Reddy's River. There's trees so tall, no company on earth could ever cut a fall. Straight heart poplar by the wagon load to float down to town on that water road. Lord, Lord, down the 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 road. Long about midnight, the sun gone down. They load up the flume for the run to town. Stand on a board, grab a steady hold, riding on down, riding on home, down that water road. Lord, Lord, down the 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 road. The axes, the saws, iron boilers boiling up ahead of steam, wagons and drivers who'd have ever known they would all wash away down that water road. Lord, Lord, down the 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 road. Thank you so much. David, is that the way you remember it? That's great. They pitch you in the Xerox room, they bump you in the hall. And if you say a word to them, they say it's all your fault. They call you in their office. Wow. All right. They pitch you in the Xerox room, they bump you in the hall. And if you say a word to them, they say it's all your fault. They call you in their office and they stare straight at your breasts. And if you take your hand away, they say it's how you're dressed. But it's the same the whole world over, always been the same. The woman who's the victim gets convicted of the crime. It's the same the whole world over, always been the same. The guilty claim they're innocent and the victim gets the blame. Now the boss will say, you asked for it and don't you have a nerve? Or else he'll get you fired and say, you got what you deserve. If you speak out and say you're only trying to smear his name, if not, he'll tell his friends that they can go and try the same. But it's the same the whole world over, happens all the time. The woman who's the victim gets convicted of the crime. It's the same the whole world over, always been the same. The guilty claim they're innocent and the victim gets the blame. Now here's the moral. Now if sick folks cause diseases, everybody would have their health. And if poor folks cause poverty, we all would share the wealth. If generals caused invasions, the generals would fight alone. And if women caused harassment, they'd be safe at work and home. But it's the same the whole world over, happens all the time. Woman who's a victim gets convicted of the crime. Yes, it's the same the whole world over, always been the same. Guilty claim they're innocent and the victim gets the blame. Did I do Wally in the Mill? It's an industrial love song. I think Joe Cocker made up the term. No, I don't think I did. Does anybody remember a song called Molly in the Mill? Okay, good. So it's time for a love song. So there's some technical language from the mills here. Bobbins, you know, but in an industrial mill, they spin really, really fast. And the quills are what you wind the cloth on. And the expression to skin the quills means to take off the remaining thread that was left when you put it onto the spool. So I think that's, and of course, this is also a song about brown lung. And so the coughing and the shaking, these are typical of brown lung. And this song is called Molly in the Mill. Oh, and the wonderful Weber brothers, did you guys do Handsome Molly? Was that you guys or somebody else? Okay, so the song, it's a wonderful traditional song, says, while sailing o'er the ocean, while sailing o'er the sea, I think of Handsome Molly, wherever she might be. Where do you think she is? Have you ever thought about that? She's working in a textile mill in South Carolina. Molly in the Mill. Standing by her spinning frame, as handsome as I've seen. When cotton was a kingdom, she was sure the queen. She was the finest spinner that lived on the old mill hill. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. In my dreams I still see Molly, hear her call my name. She used to keep me spinning like bobbins on a frame. She used to leave me breathless, and I'm breathless still. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. We used to work together back in those olden times. The dust was like November snow that blows so soft and fine. She would wind the bobbins, I would skin the quills. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. In my dreams I still see Molly, and I hear her call my name. She used to keep me spinning like bobbins on a frame. She used to leave me breathless, and I'm breathless still. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. Now my hair is white as snow, I cannot work no more. Coughing shakes my body like a wooden weave room floor. But Molly cannot hear me, she's sleeping on the hill. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. In my dreams I still see Molly, and I hear her call my name. She used to keep me spinning like bobbins on a frame. She used to leave me breathless, and I'm breathless still. In my dreams I still see Molly in the mill. So I'm going to do two more songs. Yesterday I promised you 2 world premieres, and you got one. Tonight I'm Canadian was a world premiere last night. I am honored to be here. I'm grateful to be here. Jennifer and Kathleen and Bill have taken just wonderful care of me. It's like almost like being home. And tomorrow night I will be home. And it is, you play for different audiences, different events, and you really don't know who you're there with. Maybe a couple of people come afterwards and say, hey, great show. But I have had the privilege here of sitting and talking with so many of you. And I believe that I am in a gathering of righteous persons, of people who care about the fate of the earth, the fate of the earth's creatures, those who walk on 2 legs, those who walk on 4 legs, those who walk on 100 legs, you know? It's rare in this life, and it's often in this life that we find good people to sing with, to share with, to be with. So I want to do a couple of songs in honor of you, in honor of all the people who work at this extraordinary food program, of everybody who raises their voice against injustice, who says, yeah, okay, he's in a wheelchair, but he's doing the job. Stop leaning on him. Yeah, she's a lesbian. That's her business. Don't give her a hard time. No, he's old. He can't work as fast as he gives this company 40 years. You give it back to him. Why is that so hard to do? And I think of these as the habits of resistance. It's not talking about standing in front of a tank. It's just saying to somebody, you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe it's one of your parents. Maybe it's one of your kids. Maybe it's a neighbor, and you say, that's racist language. You don't need to use it. That's old stuff. We're better than that. We are better than that. We need to call out, since I'm Jewish and it's Sunday morning, we need to call out the better angels of our nature. The better angels of our nature. They're there with us. So I want to do several songs. 2 of them are a cappella. Well, I guess we'll do one. And the song I'm going to close with is called Care for All. I've never performed it in public. I did record it, but there was only one other person there, so that doesn't really count. And I wrote it for a campaign by people in Vermont, the state of Vermont, who were trying to get universal health care for everybody who lived in that state. And one night, I'd done a workshop on how to use music usefully. And it was one of my favorite things. There were a bunch of goth kids, all in black, but with guitars, right? There's a bunch of street musicians, and there's some, traditional folkies. And then at one point, the 2 goth guys, who were probably 18 years, said, hey, we got a studio. Let's go record an album about this. So we go down. I was trying to persuade people that it is not a sin to tune your guitar before you record it. It's really okay. Tuning is not like, retro. And I didn't, people said, Si, what do you got for a song? I'm like, I don't know, let me go out in the parking lot. So I went out in the parking lot, really inspired by everybody. And there was a car sitting there. So I took out a piece of paper, started writing the song. This guy comes on, hey, what are you doing on my car, man? I'm like, writing a song? And I think he was so stunned that I wasn't trying to steal. He said, well, could you back up so I can get out of here? And this song is called Care for All. And the first one is just called Dreamers. When all that we work for seems so far away, when those that we count on have nothing to say, when good friends are troubled with no place to turn, we look to the dreamers to teach and to learn. And we honor the dreamers. We honor the dreamers. We honor the dreamers who work for our dreams. For it is the dreamers who bring the good fight, who look to a future far beyond human sight, who still find the courage to stand all alone, who help us find vision and dreams of our own. And we honor the dreamers, we honor the dreamers, we honor the dreamers who work for our dreams. For in the future, when hard times have passed, when we can reach out and touch freedom at last, though names are forgotten, though voices are still, our dreams and our vision will live in this world. And we honor the dreamers, we honor the dreamers, we honor the dreamers who work for our dreams. Excuse me. So again, for all of you, for all of the caretakers, for all of the lovers of life, for all the friends and neighbors, and a particular shout out to all the nurses, the LPNs, the RNs, the doctors, the hospice workers, Thank you all. When trouble arrives, stares in our window, blocking out all we can see, we ask ourselves the same old question: who will be there for me? If we care for our sister, care for our brother, always answer the call. If we care for our neighbor, care for each other, there will be care for all. When my health breaks like a dam on the river, and high water covers the trees, we look around quietly asking, who will be there for me? If we care for our sister, care for our brother, always answer the call. If we care for our neighbor, care for each other, there will be care for all. If sickness comes and stands in my doorway, and pain drives me down to my knees, I will find peace, knowing there's someone who will be there for me. If we care for our sister, care for our brother, always answer the call. If we care for our neighbor, care for each other, there will be care for all. There will be care for all. Thank you all so much. Travel home safely, take care, and be well.
Hi, Kahn, friends. What a way to say so long. We don't say goodbye, we just say so long, see you down the road. Yeah.
Thank you all again. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say again, I've been looking over this book. This is a great book. Will Henry wrote it, friend of Al's. He's the leader of the Scatter the Cats band, but he's been a fiddler and a band leader in the Grey County area for years and years. I've the Glen Elk Full Moon Band and a number of other groups that I've seen and played with at Summer Folk. And the foreword's done by Ian Bell, who's a remarkable folklorist himself. And there are copies of it right over there, and please feel free to take a copy. And there's lots of them, so don't worry if there's only one or two left or whatever. There's another box of them. It's a great read, and there's the musical transcriptions for lots of fiddle tunes and history of Ontario, Manitoba fiddling. It's a really cool book. So take that, and sandwiches are available. We all love sandwiches, don't we? Sandwiches are beautiful. My friend Fred told me that one time, and yes, sirree. They are beautiful, and they're wrapped there if you want to take them on the road, or if you want to stay and enjoy them here, please do. Just make sure in terms of the trailers that you've got everything out of the trailers.
I would ask for several rounds of applause before we. Pardon? Yeah, Magoo. Right. Wait.
Thank you.
The sound crew. All the volunteers who made this happen.
Okay. This weekend? Yeah.
And last, Bill and Jennifer.